Hi everyone, welcome back to Technical. Hi everyone, welcome back to Technically. Unfortunately, not according to our regular schedule, and this is solely because of Valentine. Come out from your shadow, Valentine.
You know what, this is what we call betrayal.
Naming and shaming.
Worse than Sky and Mufasa. This is worse than I don't know. Can't find another example. Yeah, but it is pretty much my fault because Rufaro then called me to do something else when we're supposed to be recording. So I couldn't then do the recording because Rufaro was like, you need to do this for me. So I was just like, it's okay, it's work. So
How did this come back to me? Ed,
it's
come
called
on.
a reversal.
You're the witness.
WWE.
You're the third party impartial
So that's a
person.
funny.
You don't
The
remember?
cool part about it, why this reversal is like so crazy for me is a while back, like a few hours ago, I left YouTube doing its thing, and it just recommended me a video of um one of those hip hop battles between Eminem and Machine Gun Kelly. And Eminem's diss track responding to Machine Gun Kelly's diss track was just a reversal of all the bars that Machine Gun Kelly had thrown at Eminem. So when I heard Valentine do this, I was like, what? I mean, the irony of it. It's like, how? Like, it's a day of reversals. But yeah.
My name is changing officially to Marshall Moamba. I am the real Black Shady.
Oh man. Oh, you're in trouble now.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're back again, and today we're going to be talking about something that's really quite interesting. I don't know if it'll work. Well, I'm still like on that fence of, hey, is this just us trying to bring the first world to Africa? Yet Africa is not ready for the first world. But it seems like there are companies that are trying to get us well to a state where Africa is ready for this. So in case you're wondering what we're talking about, so this electrical vehicle. So distributed Africa, distributed power Africa. Follow you advised this before the podcast. I think I should just say DPA. So DPA, they built some charging stations, three of them in Msasa, and the plan is to have around 17 in the near future across Zimbabwe, with major ones. I think what the most important ones will be 150 kilometers between Harare and Bulawayo, so that you could actually drive from Harare to Bulawayo using an electrical vehicle, which is currently not possible, I think, because of the range. So you're then required to charge. So if there's no charging station in between, guess what? You run out of power, and that's it. So that's then the question of, okay, what they've started to do building these charging stations, is it making electrical vehicles feasible for Zimbabwe?
Maybe. It's a hard maybe for me. Like, the thing with Zimbabweans is, I'm speaking for Zimbabweans. If you're offended, you're welcome. It's so difficult to get Zimbabweans onto new things. Like, we're so used to the things we know. So telling someone that you could essentially power a car with electricity, I'm not saying people are that close-minded. Of course not. It's just familiarity with something is everything.
Oh man, the
Like, people are
pitchforks are
used to
coming
it.
for you, Valentine.
I hope they do. So it's the whole familiarity thing. Even for me, like, it's difficult for me to then shift from one service to another because I'm like used to what I'm used to. Like, even now being given an electric car, the whole sound of it and everything will be off because you were all used to the engine noise, and it being quiet is unnerving. Even for like when like reviewers, when they do car reviews and they review Teslas or whatever, they like it's unnervingly quiet and it's fast. Like, that's just not normal. Beyond that, it's just a new form of technology is not the best way. I'm pretty sure with the older generation, probably not. But with the millennials, what are they? Gen Z? Gen Z, I'm guessing. It'll probably be a lot more popular if they have the money to buy it. That's of course. But it'll take a while because, as Ed will attest, electric cars sometimes are not the cheapest things in the world. Um, it actually depends on which kind you want. Like, do you want a battery electric vehicle? Do you want a plug-in hybrid? So,
The
yeah,
difference between
battery electric is pure battery power. So your Teslas, your Nissan Leafs. Although I think the Leaf has got a hybrid plug-in version. And then hybrid plugins are like the ones that use like the internal combustion engine as well as having a charging element, a battery element to it. So the range isn't that fantastic for the battery, but then it just helps you with mileage. Because for city driving, you can just where most of the consumption happens, the stop-start traffic, you can pretty much do that all electric, depending on your range. So you save a bunch in fuel. Like the downside is obviously like if you're going to service a plug-in hybrid, a plug-in hybrid, um, like it's expensive. Like because you're dealing now with two systems. You're dealing essentially with the internal combustion element of it and the electric motor element of it. So if your battery goes kaput, hey, yeah, it's gonna be difficult to fix. Yeah.
So I think so. So I think from my end, if the charging stations are spread out well enough and they are at places of convenience, I think it'll work out because I would like to believe that car purists, so car purists like probably me and Valentine, the guys that want to feel the mechanics of the car, I don't think we are that many in Zim. I would love to believe a lot of the people, like just looking at most of the popular cars that are there, they're not really exciting vehicles to drive. So I don't think that's the main motivation of a lot of car buyers in Zimbabwe. A lot of car buyers are looking at how cheap it is to run, how cheap it is to maintain, and if it can take them from point A to B. So it then falls on the charging network and the convenience of the car as well in terms of it being a success. So so for example, I've seen a bunch of Nissan Leafs in Harare, like a bunch. And this is excluding like the via electric taxis, just private vehicles. I think I've seen a bunch of electric vehicles, especially the Nissan Leafs, and it shows that there is a market for them. They are gaining popularity. People don't mind having a dulled out car that does not that does not really, it's all about the getting from point A to point B part. And so yeah, I believe there is potential, but the charging, that's where the trick is at.
Yeah, so for me, I'm actually one of those people who's like, yeah, I'm open to the idea of getting an electric car. It's just that, like, can I keep it charged? Number one, number two, and I don't know much about charging stations and stuff, but are these going to be dependent on ZESA? Because, like, if they are, it kind of defeats the whole purpose. Because we don't have ZESA sometimes, and it might be like all the time. But if they're depending on solar, yeah, I think it would make sense to improve that. But yeah, please someone answer that. Do charging stations rely on ZESA or solar? Because it's very key to my opinion on whether this will change anything or not.
Well, to be honest, I haven't seen the ones in Msasa. But from the information we got from DPA, well, the ones they're going to install for corporates are coming with their solar installation, their usual corporate solar installation, solar installation package. What's happening to me today? So
yeah, English is not your first language.
So yeah, they said they're gonna pack it well. They're gonna offer them to corporates, which are the biggest, if corporates take, because they've got massive fleets. So if they begin to adopt EVs with solar charging stations attached to them, then the ripple effect will be massive for the rest of us, and probably will help ZESA a bit. I'm sure some of them will rely on ZESA, but DPA is an independent power producer, so they could just pretty much hook up their own their charging stations to their own grid, so it doesn't go down. Because I'm pretty much sure that they're aware that ZESA does have its ups and downs. So if you're going to set up a network and for people to then trust that network, it will have to be then consistent. So
Okay.
in the event that there is no ZESA in an area, you can just use your charge station is still working. So if you do have an EV, you might as well go charge it up. Or we'll be able to charge it up.
Yeah, and also like looking at the mechanics of those charging stations. I think just trying to answer the technical bit of Rufaro's question. So the electricity we get like from ZESA is, yeah, typically for like home appliances and stuff. And it's good to a point when it comes to electric appliances, but when it comes to electronic devices, you then need to condition that power so that it doesn't mess about with the electronics. So, sorry, the charging station for an EV is pretty much the same as the charger for your smartphone in the sense that it'll then convert whatever power source it's receiving, whether it's from ZESA, whether it's from a generator, whether it's from solar panels, it's going to convert that power into the sort of power that works best for electric vehicles. And that is why they exist. It's basically just producing power for that particular device that needs the power, which in this case is an electric vehicle. So it's something that I would think service stations would take advantage of. So Total is one of those service stations in Zim that has been pushing hard on like converting all their service stations to use solar. So I know the Total service station at Ash Brittle, they converted like a section of the car park. They put
It's so cool,
roofs
man.
on the car park, and it's all solar panels and stuff. It looks fancy. So I would assume that such establishments would also then put maybe 1 or 2 electric vehicle chargers just to expand the network and just make it more convenient for EVs. And actually, a bunch of the EVs that I've been spotting, I've actually spotted them around the Belgravia, Mount Pleasant, Emerald Hill area. So, I don't know, it must make sense that they just put those there. But yeah, the technical bit of charging stations, that's just the point I just tried to put across there.
Thank you very much, Ed. You always teach us a lot, that's a tangent for another day. Today we're sticking to the story. So what other stumbling blocks might be there for electrical vehicles to be adopted widely in Harare? I know we mentioned cost. We mentioned the issue of on cost. Actually, are they like that expensive? Like, what's the difference between like the normal car that people buy every day and the Nissan Leaf? I think is the next closest thing.
Well, I think it depends. Well, the whole thing hinges upon, and I'm sure Ed and I have talked about this before, is like Zim's whole car scene is predominantly secondhand. So if anyone's going to go out there and buy a car, it's probably coming from Japan and secondhand. And if you go on B4 or any of those sites, you'll see, Priuses and Nissan Leafs and a variety, a number of plug-in hybrids and BEVs, battery electric vehicles, on sale. The problem now is that if you bring it in, and I'm not sure about this, but the battery degradation is an issue, right, for some of those models.
Yeah.
So if you're going to buy one secondhand, it's going to mean that the maintenance costs are going to come, probably sooner than if you bought one new. So it'll be cheaper to buy overall and probably bring in, but then to maintain it might be difficult depending on the state of the car as you found it. So I've checked out before a bunch of times looking for just how much they cost. Yeah, you can get one, but again, the one big niggle is, okay, if I get it in Zim, if it then comes, where am I going to service it? So the next issue is obviously servicing. So I'm not sure. Maybe Ed, you might know a place that started servicing EVs, but the only thing I'm aware of is importers like TalkZim, or Talk Zimbabwe. They bring in. I think they're shifting their whole business model towards EVs, although they do still do regular vehicles. But other companies, I'm not too sure. And servicing again, are they any OEM like service centers or manufacturer service centers in Zim? Because if I say anything, I'll just pretty much be guessing.
At least you can guess.
You know, so at the moment, I'm actually not aware. There was some news that Nissan is planning on building a service center for electric vehicles in Zim. So there might be some prospect for that. And I think it also makes sense because majority of the battery electric vehicles that are available right now, or fully electric vehicles, are Nissan Leafs. And majority of like hybrid vehicles are Toyota Priuses. So I think best bet right now is Nissan. And I would love to believe that Toyota might have something in place for the hybrid vehicles that are there in the market. I am not too sure. I'm guessing. But yeah, I think that's where we stand. It's still pretty tricky knowing whether there are places where electric vehicles can be serviced. But hey, if the audience knows a place, hit us up in the comments. I mean, would love to know.
I certainly
Yeah,
hope they do it, so because like uh, I saw some comments on Twitter, or was it Facebook? Someone says, "Oh, now I can finally buy my Tesla," and I'm like, okay, yeah, I probably could, but yeah, you're pretty much going to have to send it to South Africa to be serviced. So I'm sure South Africa has got, because they've got those Tesla superchargers, right, in South Africa. So pretty sure that's the only way you can get it serviced. So I think the point is just thinking small. Um, and my recommendation is obviously a plug-in electric hybrid. Like if you do have an option of one or the other, especially for transition sake, yeah, I think plug-in electric hybrid will probably be the best, because I'm sure you could probably get assistance with that much more readily than you would a battery electric vehicle, depending on if
then
the manufacturer.
but then earlier you were saying it's more expensive to service that because there's two systems, and outside of that, isn't it electrical vehicles are cheaper than, like, for example, if you're buying fuel. So why would you still try to have an expense that's a little bit costlier than the other one?
Uh, well, I only say that because of the sake of transition. Um, that those who can actually afford, because I talked about this one, like those who can actually afford to get these cars will probably get plug-in electric hybrids. Because one of my neighbors actually has a Corolla hybrid, and I asked him, I'm like, "So what did you get that?" He's like, "No, it was easier for me to transition. Like it felt natural to use it because it had a internal combustion element, and it's like getting it serviced. He wasn't worried too much about the cost. So I then prefaced in that, like those who can actually afford can get plug-in electric hybrids, because it'll then help adoption, downstream. So for the rest of us who are, hoping to purchase our first car soon, if the people who can afford them, those being businesses, the government, and just well off people, if they can adopt those things, we can then get a knock-on effect of, but if we get a swathe of them, we then get an improvement in the network of what are they called, of charging stations. So and he even said that I preferred the plug-in electric hybrid because I didn't want the whole range anxiety thing. That since there weren't any charging stations in Zimbabwe locally, I wouldn't have to worry about where am I going to get home, or am I going to have to get towed home because the battery ran out of the car ran out of juice. So that's another thing. So if it starts from the top, I think by the time it gets to the rest of us, I think we can comfortably, like, give it some years, we will comfortably be able to just get battery electric vehicles. But some people will have to be sacrificed in this
So if
iteration. So
you're just like guessing, how long do you think it will take for them to be there, for electrical vehicles to be adopted? 20 years, 10, 5?
it doesn't really have a timeline. Like for me, I think if the government does one thing and urges on independent power producers and ZESA themselves to improve the grid, and also use like companies like DPA, independent power producers, who create mini grids, to put more emphasis on that, and then say, oh, one condition is that you'll have to put X amount of charge points, then I can say, and probably, again, to the audience, this is just a guesstimate on my part, 5 to 10 years, it wouldn't be uncommon to go to a service station and not get a port where you can charge your electric vehicle, because the incentive will be there that, hey, you can build a grid, you can do this, but then you're going to get someone to charge your car, or these independent power producers will then give people places to charge their cars. Also, I think another important thing is, again, what I said before, is adoption from the top coming down. If the government replaces a significant portion of its fleet with electric vehicles, like especially the town runaround cars, like if you
Yeah.
then just replace those with plug-in electric hybrids or BEVs, that'll then help, because the government will then be dependent on,
Charging
electric
station.
vehicles. Yeah, so that will then force them to say we need more charging stations. So, and then again, the well-to-do people, if you got the money to do it, I'm guessing you should. Unless if you're not a car purist, then probably not. But start from the top, then trickles to the down. So when we start buying secondhand electric vehicles on B4, for example, I won't be scared, because I'll know in 5 to 10 years that, oh no, we'll have a service center, where I can get it checked out when it comes there, to check out where the batteries and etc. I'll have multiple charge points, close to home, even at home, or where I work or whatever. So yeah, I guess where I work is I work from home, so never mind.
Yeah. But yeah, guys, I'm not a car fanatic, so I pretty much reach my limit very quickly.
Okay, so I got a question for you, Rufaro.
Yes.
Given the option, since you're not a car fanatic, if there were like 2 charging stations on your frequented route, or 1 on your frequented route, like today, would you seriously consider getting electric vehicle?
Yes. So the thing is, Kuti, okay, 1, I don't travel that often. 2, I don't travel that far. So my route is already a very short route. So put a charging station there. I'm pretty much not gonna have a reason, or rather, my reasons not to get one are reduced. Of course, there are still those trips where you might venture outside of like your normal frequented route. And in those cases, it might then be like, okay, do I then want to be tied down? If it's a hybrid, makes sense. Like what you're saying, like what your neighbor was saying, like I buy that. It's logical. Get the hybrid. If it fails, like if you run out of power, you can just switch to fuel. So it would make sense in that case. In terms of what you call it, service centers. So again, because I don't travel that often, wear and tear is not going to happen that often, because I'm using the car less often. So it would last longer. Thereby, I could theoretically, I think, get one without feeling the anxiety of, okay, if something goes wrong, where am I going to get it fixed? But then again, why would I get a car and just keep it like that? Like just it's just in the garage. It's not going anywhere. And yeah, I don't know. Me. I try to be efficient, so I don't think that's efficient.
It's actually efficient, because they say that electric vehicles are probably for those people who don't travel a lot. So, you can just leave it charging, or, leave it at full charge, and then use it when you can. So again, I think it's actually optimized for people who, in this environment where we're working from home, or where some people are working from home, and your route isn't that long. I think it'll be a worthwhile investment to get a battery electric vehicle. Ed,
So
if I'm not mistaken. Sorry?
So the efficiency is coming from a use of money point of view. Like I'm buying something that I will not utilize that often. I don't know. It's like building a house somewhere and then you just keep it empty. It's
But then
like
again, look at it like this: in the routes that you travel, you probably save a lot more on, fuel money in comparison to an electric vehicle. Because if you're using ZSS charges, then uh, this is where I tag in Ed, because I never remember ZSS charges. Like, this is something that I.
Oh man. Yeah, even I've lost track of them. But I still remember way back when I did a comparison of EVs and petrol powered vehicles, just to see like the difference in running costs. It looked like EVs were close to like about 8 or 10 times cheaper to run in terms of refueling, or rather recharging, than petrol powered vehicles. So yeah, I hope that is where it's still at. If that is where it's still at, then yeah, what's cheaper.
So I've got a question for Ed. And we're going to exclude Rufar for a moment because it's going to be car talk. Sorry, Rufar. But Ed,
I've
Yeah.
muted my mic.
so Ed, if I was ever going to buy an electric car, it'll be the Porsche
Yeah.
Taycan. Like that, or there's an Alfa Romeo GT Junior styled electric car that they have. Well, some company made one. Those are the only two like electric vehicles I buy. Other than that, you know what it is, man.
Why?
Volvo T1800. Because
Because it's petrol and a stick is life.
yes, it is. Because I think
So,
the oh, sorry.
oh yeah, go on. You can finish off before I start my rant.
Okay, cool. So I'm saying the Taycan, I've been watching videos of it, and I'm super impressed by just what Porsche do. Like from what the reviews are saying, they made an electric car feel like a Porsche. Like I was like,
Yeah.
yeah. Also, it can do those multiple like the drag starts over and over and over and over again. I think the Tesla can only do that. It's whatever power up mode once or twice. It has to cool down. But Porsche was just
Yeah.
like hold my beer. You can do it whenever you want. Like you can challenge Hellcats and Vipers whenever you choose. So yeah, Tesla is not it. Okay, guys, Taycan. Tesla in it. Elon is lying
So
to y'all.
so yeah, like so that's a very interesting and hot topic debate because I mean people shouldn't deny the fact that in terms of electric vehicle technology, Tesla is ahead. Like looking at an electric vehicle drivetrain, they've done a lot to extract as much performance from the batteries as they can. And it works. Like that's what's getting it all the headlines. And then you then have mainstream manufacturers like your traditional car manufacturers, your Porsches, your Mercedes, your Toyotas. They are also venturing into those fully electric vehicles as well, and their approach is different from what Tesla's doing. So I would say there are two types of people who might enjoy, who are there in the market for an electric vehicle. So I think I'll describe them best by just looking at the advantages of, I'll just say Tesla versus every other electric vehicle manufacturer right now. So right now, Tesla is still the range king when it comes to how far you can go before you need to recharge. And that's an advantage for someone who's not really a car guy and just wants a vehicle that can reliably take them from point A to point B. It's the range. And then the second one is in those developed countries in Europe and in America. And I think to some extent in South Africa compared to the rest of Africa, Tesla is the widest network of chargers, of charging stations. So when it comes to range anxiety, you're much better off with a Tesla than with any other electric vehicle, simply because of that fact. So if you are just that simple person who just wants something that works and something that takes you from point A to B, or even if you're a new person to cars, it's your first car that you're buying and you have no expectations of what a car should be or should feel like, then you're most likely going to see Tesla as your best option. But if you are a Valentine or to some extent an Ed, then
Yeah.
you're really going to want to jump onto the more established car brands, because as much as Tesla has made great strides in making an excellent in extracting the most performance from an electric vehicle, these established car brands have spent years, decades, some of them even centuries, just perfecting the car. So we're talking the driving dynamics, we're talking the production lines, which then provide the level of build quality that a car person or an existing car owner that satisfies such a person. You have to go for those guys. The build quality, the materials that they use, the feel of the vehicle when you're driving it, because these are guys that have been making what I would term emotional vehicles for the longest time. And for a car guy, it's that emotion that you're trying to look for from any vehicle that you drive, regardless of it being electric, hybrid, or internal combustion, like the standard petrol, diesel engines. So yeah, I'm still on the fence, because taking one means you are sacrificing the benefits of the other. So if I was going to prefer driving dynamics, Tesla is not on the list. I'm most probably going with a Porsche Taycan Turbo S, or I'm going with probably a Jaguar E. Is it the E-Pace or the I-Pace? I don't know. I confused the two, but one, I think it must be the E-Pace. Or some other car brands that are emotional, that give the driving dynamics that I will enjoy whilst I'm driving. It's like I think it's more like a tool. Whenever you buy a tool, maybe it's your smartphone or your laptop, there's a person who's just going to buy it because they just want to type their documents and then get it over and done with. And then there are some people who get it because they like how it performs. They like the features it has, the sound, the display quality, the audio quality, the build in terms of the materials, the tactility of the keyboards, and all those nitty gritties. That's the traditional car guy. And if you can take that, but at the expense of something else. So I'm torn. I am really torn, because both of them have such strong cases that they make for themselves that are tough to just choose over the other. Might end up just having both for the fun of it.
Can I kill the Tesla dream for you, Ed?
Kill it, try it, kill
So,
it, stomp on
so
it.
I was on YouTube a couple of days ago, and I was watching this dude in America. I'll send you the link actually. Of apparently
Okay.
he wants to fix Tesla's DIY. So he wants every Tesla owner to be able to fix their own car, right? And that's one thing every car guy likes, is that at some point you should have some degree of, I can do this, you know.
Yeah.
So Tesla doesn't like that. Tesla is the Apple of cars. They
Yes.
would rather you send it to Tesla and get it fixed and then come back with it rather than for you to do it by yourself. So he's kind of been fighting Tesla. I
Yes.
think it was on Vice. I forgot his name. It was on Vice, and he was just like, yeah, I've got cease and desist and stuff from Tesla saying, oh no, you can't, do this or that. And he's actually pretty much refurbishing Tesla. So he finds what they call salvage title cars, or cars that become salvage title in America. And then he just,
Okay.
fixes them up. So for you as a DIY guy, I don't think you'd be too happy, not to get hands on, especially with stuff that's electrical, stuff that you're used to, getting hands dirty with. I'm pretty sure all the other stuff, there is a manual somewhere where you could probably like, yeah, you know what, I can just sort it out myself. But for Tesla, it's kind of like they won't send you the parts, because I'm pretty sure the traditional manufacturers will be like, yeah, listen, do it yourself if you want to. Like, as you know that voids your warranty, but the parts are available on the market, so you can fix it yourself.
Mhm.
But with Tesla, it's kind of gonna be
And
like,
you know
nope.
what? That's actually the exact point I was thinking of when you said, let me kill the dream for you. The fact that Tesla will not actually, even if you have the money, they're not going to sell you the parts to repair your vehicle. They want you to send it to them. So yeah, that's one of those things where you start asking yourself, like, especially for me, a guy who loves tinkering, is it worth it? And again, it brings back the issue of reliability, in the sense that how reliable is this? We already know, or rather, it's in the news out there that Teslas have a reputation of not being up to scratch when it comes to quality. So the paint quality, the panel gaps, sometimes some features of the car aren't working as well out of the box. So, it might be stuff that I can say, it's just, I just need to reconfigure this light so that it communicates well with the rest of the car. But then Tesla doesn't offer you the tools to do that yourself. So, I have to send it to a service center for something that's really a 2-minute job, and the hustles involved in that, which are some of the hustles that I'll be running away from if I go for an electric vehicle from a mainstream manufacturer, because most likely they have a production line, they have a parts supplier and all that. So it's easy for you to just sort them out yourself. And because these guys try to cut costs, the mainstream manufacturers, because of cost cutting, you'll find out that a lot of components in their vehicles are legacy components or are components borrowed from either their previous gen cars or other cars that are within their production line. So it might not necessarily be another electric vehicle. It can be a hybrid, or it can be an internal combustion engine, stuff like the brakes, stuff like the wheels and tires, and some components of the interior. So it's those things where you're like, with Tesla, it's a pain, but with these other guys, it's something that I can work around. And yeah, like I said, and I think I'm gonna end up choosing both because, man, like I said, they both make strong cases for themselves. So it's difficult to just out of the blue just pick one. Like, yeah, if you were to hold a gun to my head, I think I would die deciding.
That's a shame, man, because that legitimately would just go for the Taycan. I would also which Ferrari was it? I know these are high number, but this is a dream. These are high number vehicles, but this is a dream. There's a Ferrari that they said it would be fully electric, because Ferrari went back on their word and said, oh, like they said they were never going to make an electric car. They're apparently going to make one now. So yeah, I'll go for the thoroughbred manufacturers, because Tesla for me, I think you mentioned it's like a car for people who don't like cars. A car is a utility. It's just something that should.
Did someone talk? Did someone say my name?
Yes, someone did like cars.
Yes, I don't like cars. Tesla is the perfect car for me. You just need something to go from point A to point B. It works great. It looks nice. Teslas look decent. They don't look ugly, or at least in my opinion. But what do I know about cars?
Someone said they look plain, and
simplicity.
I don't think it's a bad thing. But exactly.
Yeah.
So plain in terms of they are so simple.
Yeah, but like
carry on.
But why would you want a plain car? Like for example, if I had an option right now to have a Tesla or like a Toyota JZX 100 or a Chaser, I'll probably go for the Chaser. It's just dramatic. Like it just looks like it's gonna be fun.
I think it's the same reason why people buy iPhones instead of Androids. That hey, it's just simple, it works, and yeah, even though if Android even though it's like fancier, it's got more features, you can tinker with it, do a lot with it. Like what you said, Tesla is the Apple of cars. I don't own an iPhone, but yeah, I would buy a Tesla, I think.
Well, I don't know. For me, it just doesn't it's not even an option for me to get a Tesla. It's not like I hate Teslas. I like the fact that Musk kind of pushed the conventional car industry to be like, yeah, guys, listen, you can actually make electric vehicles viable. You can make them in vogue and stuff like that. But then I think because of someone who doesn't speak the car language, and not that you should, but who doesn't speak. Look at the Cybertruck. What was that? Like, did they go into the first Halo game and just decide to, you know what, guys, this will do? I'm like, yeah, no, I like the boldness, but I'm like, I will not be caught on First Street or even Fourth Street in that. So no, like no, I'm like no, like the Hummer, the electric Hummer. That was insane. That blew my mind. I was like, okay, all right, Cybertruck no more. This is the one to get. So I think Musk and Tesla don't speak the car language. They don't speak, petrolhead language, and those are the people you need to convert. People like me who are just who rather see the planet burn rather than go for Teslas. Because to be honest, I would get. Ed, do you remember on Top Gear that the Brutus, the one that had the Spitfire engine, the 16-liter V12?
Yes, the 16-liter V12.
I would rather have that as my daily driver than a Tesla. To be honest, inconvenience is at all.
But so to those that are not familiar with this car, it's a very old car from the 30s, maybe. I don't know. Like it's a very old car, and it didn't have any mufflers or any silencers or any of those particular particulate filter nonsense that we have nowadays. It was just a pipe coming directly from the engine to the air. And so if you revved it up too high, it would spit some boiling hot oil in your face, because again, these cars didn't have roofs on them, and they had really like a really small windshield. Like you couldn't even fit a wiper on it because it was so tiny, and you had to wear it with goggles if you're going to drive it. So yeah, that's the Brutus. It was just a violent, loud, powerful thing. It will just, yeah, it was a savage. That's pretty much it. And he would prefer that over a Tesla.
Yeah. So to humbly put the meeting back in its owner's hands, sorry Rufaro, we'd led you for a bit there. You can take it away.
I'm taking it away to the end. Unless if you guys are something else, but that's where I would take it. I was not sleeping, I promise. I listened to what you guys were saying. Very insightful. I learned a lot. Don't ask me what I learned, okay? I just know I learned a lot. So yeah, thank you everyone for tuning out with us again, and for listening. Let us know your thoughts on electric vehicles. Do you think Teslas are trash like Valentine, or are you like Ed and you're like, don't even ask me to choose, I don't even know? Or are you like me and you say Teslas are the best thing because we need the person who roots for Tesla in this three-way dynamic? So yeah, that's that. I'm Faro, and catch you on the next one. Who says catch you on the next one? I can't steal that one. Au revoir.
You could have just said catch you on the rebound, slick, but okay.
Someone says that. Someone else says that.
Yeah, I know someone else says that. I don't remember who, but yeah, I know someone says that.
For me, it was, I think, from Edit. So yeah, that's where I remember that from.
Well, I just say bye. So bye.
Bye-bye.